Crypto market manipulation, what's happening?
So let's talk about what's going on in the market overall, and we'll talk about what Pomp has to say. American capitalism was driving stock market much higher. I do want to share one thing real quick, though, that I put in the M3 active trader that is, more active, but sometimes I'll share it with you guys as well. So Mike Alfred over on Twitter, a pretty smart guy, saying somebody large is absolutely terrified of higher prices, seeing huge manipulation signatures in a variety of tokens and equities linked to Bitcoin and Ethereum today. They're working overtime to keep everything down, but won't be able to forever. He loves the setup. I think that, to me, that screams short squeeze. And I just point out that it doesn't mean there are nefarious whales or anybody trying to suppress price. It could mean that the bigger players have big buy orders in at lower prices. But a lot of this is derivatives driven now that Bitcoin is a Wall Street product. Let's be honest, with options and perpetual futures and regular futures and all of that, which go through the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, there are these big bets being placed. And that's how markets are moved. They're efficient markets. We often don't see the footprints on these. And so we're kind of more in the long game with Retire Rich on that side of things. But the other thing, and message I just shared with a private client too, and posted in the M3 chat, the biggest mistake most people will make in the cycle is to sell too early. And I just am reminded by, we'll get to the news in a minute, but I think the overall message here to pay attention to is, during the bear markets, we are just beaten down so much. We're trained to take any profit off the table like scared little squirrels and run and hide with our piece of the potato chip. And those of you that remember my potato chip analogy and squirrel theory and all of that, which we may get into later. But essentially, we have to sort of have a little bit more aggressive undertones here going into the next phase of the bull. There are two sides of this that are equally as important. The side of trying to get out at the top, everyone and their mother is determined not to round trip again. And so people are going to be a little bit skittish. And while this might not make sense, we're going to want to be both and a little bit aggressive and a little bit skittish. Now, fortunately, we have the buy and sell signals that are very clearly showing where the sell blocks are. But the message of this note here that I'm sharing is don't sell too early. Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals or our live classes every Wednesday or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.